So the Duramax's first run down to the city is going absolutely perfectly. It drives very, very well in the freeway, very, very well going fast, very, very well going slow. And I thought that we would talk a little bit about buying used trucks in general. So when I went about looking for a truck for this specific project. Now, just to reiterate, if you haven't seen any of the prior videos, and there is the LBZ Duramax playlist that you can see all the videos on this truck that have already been made and what ones will be coming. But the intended use for this truck is multiple stages. Stage right now is I thought it was a really nice truck and I wanted to buy it. That was step one. Step two is I thought that it would be really nice to have a diesel pickup on the channel that was in very good condition, ready to be used right away. I have a 2003 Cummins, obviously a pre-emissions truck, but it has had a really hard life and it needs a lot of service, and it's not ready to be used full-time as a daily driver because I've put 150,000 miles of beating the absolute tar out of that truck. It's not ready to be used on the channel quite yet, and I need to put some elbow grease and time into that truck to make it ready to work. And so when I was setting out to find a pre-emissions truck for the channel, I had in mind getting something that was ready to be used right away, that didn't require me to put a bunch of time and effort into making it ready to go. And when you're searching for a truck like that, there's a whole spectrum of what you can buy, and it comes down to how much rust do you want to deal with, how much electrical problems do you want to deal with, and what kind of mechanical problems do you want to deal with. Those are really the three main concerns that exist when buying your future truck. And I was trying to deal with as little as all of those as I possibly could. So what does that mean? That means you pay more. And when you're going to pay more, you need to make sure that you're getting stuff for your money. It always helps to bring a magnet along and make sure that you're not buying something that has a bunch of Bondo on it. A good body man would fix the vehicle with steel, and a highly profitable body man would fix it with Bondo and then do a good job painting it, and you wouldn't really know the wiser until you took a magnet to it and found out the magnet didn't stick. So that's one thing you definitely want to look at. Major wear points on any of these old trucks are going to be any joints, ball joints, wheel bearings, bushings, all that kind of stuff, tie rod ends, sway bar end links. All these components are potentially deal breakers and potentially you need to get serviced before you can really use the truck. So I was searching for a truck that was in good mechanical condition, and one of the best ways to ensure that you're getting a truck in good mechanical condition is to buy one that hasn't had offset wheels on it or been used off-road with mud tires and all that stuff. So really I was searching for a basically stock truck, and that's exactly what I found, a basically stock truck. The other thing I was looking for with this whole project in mind was I wanted one that was untuned. I wanted it basically stock. And I found this one exactly the way that I wanted to find it, in terms of it had a nice aftermarket exhaust system on it and a 3-inch downpipe. Those two things on a stock truck without a tune on it make a world of difference, and it's something I would have done anyway. Makes it a little bit louder, a little more enjoyable to listen to, and the liveliness of the turbo is very noticeable. It makes a good sound. It has, I think, a little bit quicker power delivery. It just feels better without a tune. So that's kind of fun. As far as I can tell, this is a stock tune. It drives exactly like my dad's brand new LBZ did back in the day. The shift points are exactly the same. Everything about it reminds me exactly of my dad's LBZ. So I'm pretty confident that this is an untuned example of an LBZ, and that was really important to me. Being clean and in terms of no rust is hard to find in Michigan. And the other thing is having no electrical gremlins. That's another concern with any older truck, chiefly a Dodge, but also these GMT 800s can definitely have some electrical issues. Locks and window motors are two primary issues, as well as the cluster. So having a gauge out on the cluster should be a huge red flag to you on a GMT 800, because it usually indicates that there's an issue with the cluster, and that can manifest itself in more issues. If you have an oil pressure gauge go south, then your tachometer may go south next, or your speedometer, which is obviously really important, could go south next. So if you have a gauge problem, I would treat that as a global electrical issue. It's not normal to have a gauge not work. Sure, you could have the input for that gauge be bad, the oil pressure sensor, let's say, but but it's an indication that there's potential electrical problems with the truck. So I would be very, very careful with that. With the GMT 800s in mind, again, since that's what we're talking about, CV shafts. Cut boots and damaged CV shafts are a common issue, and those are going to need to be changed. The best ones were stock, so once they wear out and you're replacing them, I wouldn't say that the ones you're replacing with are as good unless you're getting something like an RCV, which is really expensive, or there's some really higher end axle shafts that I don't have any experience with, but they're supposed to be pretty good and they ought to be for the price. If you're replacing them with an OE replacement, generally speaking, it's not going to be as tough as the original. So if the original went 150, 200,000 miles, I wouldn't expect the aftermarket one to go 150, 200,000 miles. So that is definitely unfortunate. Duramaxes did not come with a lift pump, and that is a issue with them. This truck is up for a fuel filter replacement soon, based upon talking to the prior owner, and also based upon the in the cluster there's a oil filter and oil life fuel filter and oil life indicator, and it's 27% on fuel filter. So I was going to get to that anyway, and I want to change out all that stuff for a lift pump. So looking at probably 165 gallon per hour fast for this truck, and we'll see, just because I don't have an extensive amount of experience with aftermarket lift pumps. I have an AFE on my Cummins that I put in a lot later. I ran that thing a really long time on its stock in-tank pump. And so I'm just learning a little bit more about these older trucks in terms of having the higher-end fuel filter setup and fuel pump setup. And so I don't have any pre-hate toward FASS or AirDog. So absolutely no hate either way. If we go with a FASS on this truck, we'll go with an AirDog on something else to kind of compare and contrast. I don't really care either way. I don't know if that is a big excavator. Holy crap, that is a serious unit. They're always doing something down here. It's like just endless. They just got done replacing all the sewer stuff probably 5 years ago here, and they're doing it again. Ridiculous. But all in all, this truck seems to be in very good condition with very few surprises, and so we're going to keep trucking along with it. In the short run is finding out how good we can make it basically stock. Like I said, having the downpipe and the exhaust, to me, is a huge upgrade and something that I really like, and I can really feel the performance difference. And I think that for a stock truck, it makes it a lot nicer. We're not going to be tuning this thing anytime soon. We are going to put the lift pump, as I just got done saying. It's got new tires on it, and we're going to. I do know that one of the ball joints is just a hair loose. How do I know that? It's impossible for me to know that without going onto an alignment rack. When I have the tires put on, I have them thrown on the alignment rack, and that alignment rack will tell you any little teeny weeny bit of play. The only bit of play in this entire front end was a left lower ball joint. So I am looking into getting all kryptonite stuff for the front of this truck, so that the front of the truck will be rock solid and upgraded and brand new. That will definitely alleviate most of the weaknesses of the GMI-FS for what I'm trying to do. Does the GMI-FS work fine for most people daily driving? Yes, it absolutely does. Where it falls on its face is when you get a call from your buddy at 2 a.m. and he needs you to go pull him out of a ditch. If you have GMI-FS, count your lucky stars that you didn't break a ball joint or break a CV shaft or twist a tie rod trying to pull him out. That's why I've always liked having Fords and Dodges, because I've never broken the front end of a Ford or a Dodge. Doing really harebrained stuff with lots of axle tramping and mud tires grabbing and lots of RPM. I mean, my Cummins will zing the tires up to 100 mile an hour without even trying in mud or in a low traction situation, and I've never ever had a problem. Never broke a Dana 50 in my excursion. Straight axles are just great. This truck doesn't have a straight axle. Someday it might, not right now. So stage one is let's make a basically stock truck as good as we can make it, and let's experience it for what it is. Why? Well, I have a lot of moving to do. With my dad passing away, I have a lot of cleanup to do. And I'm just like right now, we are taking advantage of the fuel economy, the comfort. The seats in a GMT 800 are just fabulous, and it's just a nice truck to drive, and it makes me happy to drive this truck. So we are enjoying it for what it is. We're going to go move some stuff. I do have to get the new trailer hitch installed. That's another thing, and the Timbrins that I bought for it, so that'll take care of the towing aspect. I got to put a new trailer brake controller in it because it didn't come with one. Unfortunately, someone took out the trailer brake controller. I would have paid extra just to have left the trailer brake controller in. I'm not sure it was the prior owner. I don't think he even towed a trailer with it. I think he bought it more as a nice truck and a commuter truck. I think the prior owner, which I believe to be the first owner who had a fifth wheel setup, took it out and probably put it into his new truck when he got it. So we have kind of covered all the things that we're planning on doing here. And as I said before, we're going to relate it back to how does this truck compare to my brand new or relatively new, I know it's 2023, but it's still the same truck that's being sold here in 2024, 2026 model year, my 7.3 F350 gas. How is that truck going to compare to this truck in the long run, in the short run, and right now? And then we're going to find a way to make this truck better than that truck. And that's going to take brakes, and it's going to take maybe a little bit more power and a built trans. And at that point, it might be nipping on the heels of a brand new truck or a brand new diesel as well. So that'll be kind of fun to see the different stages of how this truck evolves. For right now, we're going to enjoy this truck how it is. We're going to go on some adventures with it. We're going to tow with it. We're going to exploit its basically OEM performance, because its OEM performance is pretty darn sound. And that's going to conclude this video for us, I think. So we talked a little bit about how to find used trucks that are worth buying. We've talked a little bit about how this is going to fit in with my current use schedule, and we're talked about the way forward. And hopefully that we'll use this as a little bit of basis so we don't have any scope creep. It's going to stay kind of a grandpa truck right now because that's the way I need to have it. Someday in stage 3 or 4, you never know, it may have a long travel suspension system on it, and it may have a whole lot of power and compound turbos and all that stuff. But for right now, we need to leverage it as a really fun and really nice to drive classic daily driver. At this point, this thing is becoming a classic truck. And as we're about to drive down a very beautiful place, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Gran Torino, which is a movie with what the heck is his name? What the heck is the director of Gran Torino? Clint Eastwood, my God. So this is Grosse Pointe Yacht Club, and this is Jefferson. And this is the closing scene for Gran Torino. And I grew up down here. I didn't grow up right here because we couldn't afford to live in this area. But I raced sailboats a lot out here in Lake St. Clair. And this stretch right here is extremely beautiful. And if you live in Michigan and you haven't driven down the stretch of Jefferson, that basically runs between Detroit and St. Clair Shores, it is extremely pretty and a very nice little drive. And you will definitely see a lot of performance cars. Sometimes you'll see a Lamborghini or a Maserati or something like that, a Ferrari. And you'll definitely see some classic cars. There's a lot of car guys around here. A lot of people who work in the auto industry are living in this area. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and we're going to continue on with our day. Take care all, and we'll see you next time.